Well, what is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. I've got something very cool to show you. It's a collection update and also just something really interesting. So I've never had a Southern Grind knife before. I didn't have one back when Zac Brown was running it. I haven't had one since the new people took over. I love their knives. There's just never been one that really spoke to me. You know, I collect knives. And I haven't had opportunity to review one come through the channel either. So last weekend, was it just last weekend?
What?
That we were at the gun show?
Yes.
Just last weekend, we were at a gun show here in California. A friend of mine named Chris was running a knife sale table. And one of the people that worked at the show said, hey, I've got something I want to trade for something you've got. So he and Chris did a trade. I watched that trade very carefully because it was a Southern Grind knife. And I thought, well, that's cool. But then I got to look at it. This is it. It is FDE Cerakote, black G10, right? Steel liners. And I thought, well, that's really cool, right? These are usually 14C28N. And then I looked carefully at the blade and went, oh, yeah, that says CPM-M4. And then the guy says, well, I have the whole box. I have everything here. And I thought, well, okay, let's take a look at that. So there you go. This is number 3, Bad Monkey Emerson edition. It does have the wave on it. Cerakote with black G10, CPM-M4. And inside the box is a challenge coin and a little keychain. Very cool. So I came home. I traded Chris for something else for this because I thought, yeah, that's the Bad Monkey for me. And then I discovered something. I could find nothing about this knife anywhere. They made a Spider Monkey in M4 for USA-made blade, but nothing about a Bad Monkey. And I looked and I looked and I looked and I could find nothing. And so finally, I put it out to the universe, well, in this case, the internet. And I posted some stuff on Facebook and over on Instagram. I tried to talk to the folks at Southern Grind. They are very, very nice. I spoke to them at Blade West as well. But this was from before they took over the company, so they had no information. I went through all of the various Instagram pages that I could find, and I couldn't find it. So I sort of asked out into the world, and then a couple of days ago, someone that I follow and that follows me on Instagram said, here you go. He had gone through the old Southern Grind Instagram stuff going back to March of last year, and here's the story on this. March of last year, Southern Grind, just for shits and giggles, as far as I can tell, decided to make 10 of these. That was it. Flat dark earth, black, all matching flat dark earth hardware. That was it, just 10. And then they sold them. Well, I think they gave the last one away in a giveaway, actually. So that's it. It's not a terrifically weird story when you get down to it, but at the same time, I have number 3 of 10, of only 10 in the world, and that makes a knife collector like me really happy. It also means that I probably won't carry this as much as I should, because the person who owned it before knew it was something kind of special, but, you know, I mean, there's tons of wear on this thing. So it's not like it's in mint condition or anything. It's going to get carried. But I'm never going to like hammer this CPM-M4 blade through a brick just to test it. But I am going to take good care of this thing. And so I finally have a Southern Grind knife that speaks to me. It is USA made. It is excellent materials. It is from what was a good company and is still a good company, just in a slightly different way. So today's review is first kind of a check out how cool this is. And also this is a review of the Bad Monkey in general. Since I don't have a more normative one here, we're just going to go ahead because the specs all remain the same. So just keep that in mind. The Bad Monkey is a big knife, and it's my kind of big knife. I think the normal, as I said, the normal blades are in 14C28N. They are not inexpensive, but this one, when they were selling them, was $399. The normal ones are a little less expensive than that. Hang on just a second. Stand by. Okay, yeah, the 14C edition is about $260. It's not insignificant, but at the same time, these are made in the USA, and there's always an additional cost associated with that. This is it's a remarkable knife because it's nothing really fancy. It's just well done. So let's take a look at what you get on the Southern Grind Bad Monkey. You get, on this one, you get a little over 3 3/4 inches of cutting on 4 inches of, in this case, CPM-M4, but in a traditional one, you're talking about 14C28N. Grip area from behind that swell, you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 4.5 inches. Let's call it 4 1/4, just for comfort's sake, of comfortable grip, which means there's lots of room, right? Knife overall from tip to tail is coming in at 9 1/8 inches. It is like I said, it's a big knife. Closed length, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 1/4 inches. And the pocket profile is really nice, right? Even with this kind of curve to it, you're looking at just at 1.5 inches, right? But because it's really neutral. And the Emerson wave function really does work quite well. It will slap right out of the pocket if you want it to. You can also pull it out without it opening, which is nice. This side of the knife is really relatively smooth, so there's nothing to bang into stuff in your pocket. They use the same size clip on the Bad Monkeys as they do on the Spider Monkeys, which is a little weird because it's a stubby little clip, but it works surprisingly well. It is just stamped steel. It is a steel liner lock, which is cool because it's steel on steel. Titanium would be nice, but that would be more expensive. It has got just 3 barrel spacers holding it apart. There's a little bit of milling on the inside of the steel liners. The G10 is milled nicely for grip, and I really do love their pivot, right? And it's a standard Torx on this side. However, the body screws are not standard. They look like, I'm going to say proprietary. This might be a tool that somebody else knows about. I don't. I'm going to reach out to them and see if they sell these. I mean, maybe they do. I don't know. Let's see. Where were we? Oh, let's do some size comparisons, shall we? Let's get that lined up nice and even right there. Here it is. It's a full-size grip. As you can see, the Bad Monkey is considerably larger than a full-size grip, which of course means it's going to be considerably bigger than the 940, or in this case, the 943. And finally, a knife most of you are familiar with, our old friend, the Bug Out. Yep. So if you like knives that are more this size, then the Spider Monkey is probably up your alley. If you like knives that are a little bigger, a little beefier, and a little tougher, you're going to want a Bad Monkey. And they are still selling the Emerson Wave Edition. Oh, are they? Let's see. Actually, right now, Blade HQ just has the standard one, but the Emerson thing does work. And it does really work, by the way. It's very cool. I'm not usually an Emerson Wave fan, but this one's kind of subtle, but does the job. There's a little bit of jimping right here where your thumb lands, and of course, that Emerson Wave feature gives you a really nice thumb ramp, which is really nice. There is a little bit of, on this one, there's some markings on the G10, but like I said, this got a fair amount of pocket time. Thumb studs are very simple. They look to be press fit, although you might be able to unscrew one side or the other. I'm not going to, but they work. I don't usually say this, but they could be a little bigger, but they are well out of the cutting path, which is really nice. Ergonomics, which is a overused word, but in this case it's very fitting. It's got character, but it's still neutral enough that any size hand, if Women Carry Knives was nearby, I'd ask her to come take a grip on it, but I think she's settled into the couch after a day of horseback riding, which was cool. It's got a nice swell back here, right? So it sits into your hand really nicely. It doesn't feel like it's going to go anywhere, particularly in this grip, right? It doesn't feel like it's going to move, so it's really good for cuts this direction. Drop point blade is really nice and very pokey in case you need to give something a little prod. It is excellent for draw cuts because of the way it's shaped. It's got plenty of belly up here at the end of the blade. It is saber ground, So it's got a big flat through here and then a fairly steep drop down to the beveled edge. But this looks very much like the factory edge. In fact, I would be amazed if anybody has sharpened this. And the M4, which based on the amount of wear on the clip and on the G10, this thing has seen pocket time. M4 has held its edge beautifully, which is really nice. The action is good. You know, it's a liner lock on what I'm assuming are washers. I don't have a flashlight handy, so I can't really get in there and tell, but it doesn't feel like bearings. It feels like washers. It's smooth, but definitely not drop shut. I mean, you can wiggle it shut, but it's not going to slam closed on your fingers. Stuff like this is why I collect knives. I mean, to stumble across something like this as randomly as I did, to have it be as kind of unique and special as this turned out to be, I mean, that's the fun, right? If you have one of these, if you've got one of the other 9 that are out there in the world, let me know. I'd love to hear if you carry and use it, if you're keeping it as a collector's piece. You let me know. Also, let me know how you found out about them in the first place. I'm super curious. Let's go ahead and weigh it out. Weight may be a little different than a standard. I don't know if, you know, M4 weighs differently than 14C. I'm going to assume they're about the same, but let's find out. This comes in at 5.4 ounces, which not too bad by way of comparison. A standard grip with G10 is 4.3, so it's about an ounce, a little more than an ounce heavier than a full-size grip, but it's a lot bigger, right? So again, yeah, 5.4 ounces, not too bad. Not too bad for a knife this size. Blade stock, and again, this is M4, but, you know, we can pretend. So if we pretend this is 14C, it looks like they're going to give you about 3.25 millimeters. It's not super, like, beefy thick. It's about the same as the Benchmade grip. You know, a little tiny bit thicker, but not much. That's nice because with this short drop, if it was too much thicker, you'd have basically an axe down here. And instead, you've got a fairly slicey knife, which is very cool. Through the handle, at its thickest point, we're at 14 millimeters, which is going to take it to, what, just a little bit over a ½ inch, as you can see. And as I said, the closed length this way, you're coming in at 1.3 inches. So, yeah, coming up on 1.5 inches. This thing is fantastic. I wish they do more of this. I really do. Southern Grind is a knife company with a good reputation. They make good knives. It would be great if they flexed out and did stuff like this more often, because I think there's a market for it. I really do. But in the meantime, number 3 of 10 here is mine. That's where it's going to stay. I have finally found my Southern Grind knife, and that is very cool. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this look at the Southern Grind Bad Monkey. If you are interested in one, there'll be a link to somewhere I can find them online. Please, again, keep in mind, you won't find the M4 edition, but you will find a really well-made, comfortable, and sort of interesting knife. And if that's what you're after, this is probably the tool for you. Thank you again for watching. I hope you guys have a great day. We'll see you next time.